Hello everyone, welcome back to .NET Core Central. In my last few videos, I have been working on streaming. So I have started off with Kafka, created Kafka consumer and producer, and then I introduced reactive extensions on top of that and continued with the external stream into an internal reactive extension stream. The next thing I'm going to do today is to create a SignalR application and have the reactive stream to be communicated out into the web. So we'll use SignalR to push the message which is generated by a server event back into the browser. If you want to know more about SignalR, please go into my website below and there are some links and information about SignalR. So first I'm going to add the SignalR NuGet package in the time management.service. So I'm going to right click, manage NuGet package. I'm going to go and say Microsoft.ASPNet Core.SignalR, and I'm going to just install the SignalR server project. I'm going to use the 1.0.0 alpha 2 final. That's the one which is working. Do not want to use the preview version. So going to use the 1.0.0 alpha 2 final. Going to install it. After the installation is complete, the first thing I'm going to do is create a hub. So what is a hub? Hub is essentially the channel which allows us to communicate between a browser and a .NET client. So I'm going to go ahead and add a new class, and I'm going to name it as Booking Hub. As you can see, the name is in line with rest of the streaming classes that I created. So Booking Hub, and I'm going to derive it from Hub. That's the base level class which is provided by SignalR infrastructure. So once the hub is created, now I can use the hub to send message to client. So for that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another class which I'm going to name it as message relay, or booking message relay to be precise. Booking. So it is just going to relay the message to the client using the hub. So here I'm going to create a constructor, and I'm going to take the hub context for the booking hub. So I hub context booking hub context. I'm going to just add the namespace, and then for the time being I'm not going to integrate with the Kafka infrastructure. I'll just create a simple thread, and inside a while loop I'll just keep pumping messages. So what I'll do is I'm going to do task dot factory dot start new, and inside that just going to, for simplicity, I'm just going to create a while loop. This is not a good idea, but for the testing purpose it works. I'm going to create a while loop, and inside the while loop I'll say hub context dot clients dot all. So I'm sending message to all client connected client. Invoke async. I'm going to name it as booking. That's the method name. And then I'm going to send the message, and for the message it's a date10.now.ticks. I'm just passing that, and that I'll say thread dot sleep. I'm going to sleep for a second, and then continue sending message. That's what I'm going to do in a loop. This is not a very good code, but this is just to start and keep pumping message into the client. We will refactor this code and connect with the real messaging infrastructure. So after the booking relay is done, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go here and update the configuration method and introduce the SignalR. Now for SignalR, there are a couple of things which is important. The first thing is, let me first create the booking message relay class. So and I'm going to add it as a singleton because I want to have only one instance of booking message relay. And after this is created, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add course support for this application. So question would be, why would I need to support course? The reason I'm going to add support for course is because when we make a call to the hub in the server side from the client browser, the request comes as with the option header. Now for supporting options, I need to make sure all the HTTP headers are allowed. And for that purpose, I would need to add course. So what I'll do is services.add course. And if I see, I'm going to use this action. So option to dot, I'm going to add policy, and I'm going to name it as course policy, and then I'm going to say policy dot allow any header. That's the policy I need to support. So once that is done, the next thing what I'm going to do is I'll have to add the course. So I'm going to say use course, add.use course, and I'm going to pass the same policy name, policy. The second thing I'll have to do is I'll have to add support for SignalR. Next thing I'll do is services.add SignalR, and then I'm going to come back here, and similarly I'm going to say app.use SignalR. But here what I'm going to do is I'm going to configure the SignalR. So I'm going to say and I'm going to say map hub, and I'm going to pass my hub name, which is booking hub. I'm going to pass the path as booking hub. That's what I'm going to do, and this will essentially configure the route booking hub for this particular hub. So once I'm done with that, the next thing I will do is I'll have to start with the JavaScript and client-side portion. For that, I'm going to go in the www folder and create a new file here. So I'm going to add a new item, and I'm going to go and create an HTML, and I'm going to name it as index. So index.html. Standard HTML file, nothing fancy. The next thing I'll have to do is I will have to add the JavaScripts for the SignalR client side. Now the JavaScripts can be downloaded from npm, which is the Node package manager. For that you will have to have Node installed in your machine. You can just Google download and install Node. I already have Node installed in my machine, so I'm going to open up a command prompt and go to the Node path. Now after opening Node.js, I'm just going to type this npm install ASPNet SignalR. Now I already have installed this NuGet package, so I'm just going to open the folder where it is installed. So inside the dist folder, I'm going to go inside the browser, and these are all the JavaScript required for SignalR. So I'm going to copy all of them and come here, right click and paste. Though I would not need all of these, but I'm just going to go ahead and paste them. Another thing I wanted to tell is that usually when we do client-side development, I'm not going to follow this pattern, but this is just for simplicity of this video. I'm going through it. Probably in my next video I'll create an appropriate SPA application using either Angular or React, one of these, and that point in time we'll see the client-side best practices. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a reference to the SignalR client JavaScript. So I'm just going to say script the source is going to be the final. I'm just going to take this one, copy this. This is the source.js. So that's the client we are going to use, and then I'm going to write the code to connect to the SignalR server. So the code is going to be straightforward. I mean, we can make it fancy, but for the time being I'm just going to write a simple code. And again, this particular code, the way I'm writing, is not a best practice. I'm just doing it for the demo purpose. So first what we have to do is we have to open a HTTP connection to Booking Hub. We'll say Booking Hub equal to new of SignalR dot HTTP connection. SignalR is the object provided by the client JavaScript file, and here I'm going to say slash Booking Hub, and this is the route that we configured on the server side. So if I go back, Booking Hub is the route. Then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say Booking Hub connection, and now I'm going to create a hub connection. So I'll say new of SignalR dot hub connection, and hub connections takes the HTTP connection as an input. So I'll say Booking Hub. So after the Booking Hub is created, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start the Booking Hub connection. So I'm going to say Booking Hub connection dot start, and if there's an error, I say catch error and just log it to the console. Readable. Okay, so this will start the SignalR connection. The next thing we have to do is listen to the server event. So for that we have to create a handler. So we'll say Booking Hub connection dot on, and then I'm going to pass the name of the method, which is going to be booking, because that's the method that we are calling from the relay, booking. And after that I'm going to get the message and I'm going to write in the console. I'm going to say console.log receive new message. I'm going to close it. So this is my client and my server code is also ready. The next thing I have to do is I have to make sure that the static files that I have created are surfaced by the application. Currently I'm just saying use core, use SignalR, use MVC, but nothing about static file. So what I'm going to do is here I'm going to say app dot use static files. Now another thing this has to do is, as soon as I go to the localhost colon whatever the port number is, I want to make sure that my index.html is shown. Now for that I have to do app.use default files. So this will ensure that the default file names, which is like index.html or index.cshtml and things like that, are exposed. So these two would allow do that. Now I'm going to run this application. Just have to make sure, no, I don't need the Kafka yet. So I'm just going to run the application. So the application is starting. The browser opens up. Now I'm going to open up the F12. SignalR is not defined. I might have done some spelling error. Let me go back and fix that. Looks like I have a spelling mistake here. Let me back and do a Control F5. Yep, now I can see this is coming, and let's name the hub. It is connected. I should be getting a message. Let me see what's going on with my message relay. Oh, so I have the message relay, but I have to start it, otherwise it is never going to work. So what I have to do here, configure and start. So I need to start this class. So for that, is there any start? Doesn't look like anything which says start immediately. I'm just going to go ahead and create the instance myself. So I'll say app dot application services dot get service, and I'm going to say booking message relay. So this will just instantiate the booking message relay. So I'm going to go ahead and start the project again, and now I'm going to go open the F12, and here we go. We started seeing the messages, receive message for every tick, and you can see it's going. So this is cool. So this basically integrates the client-side JavaScript with the server SignalR component. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce connecting with my Kafka stream. So for that, let me go back, stop this. Now first thing I have to do here is add all the necessary class and initialize them. So for that I have to do services.add singleton. These will be singleton classes because we do not want multiple instances. So I streaming. So if I go to consumer, what was more? I booking consumer. So I booking consumer and add reference. Go back. So this will add the project reference, and I have the booking consumer, and my booking consumer implementation, let me see, it had a constructor iBooking stream and action. So let me first create the iBooking stream. So services.add singleton. Again, this has to be singletons because we do not want We do not want multiple instances. Stream and booking stream. Was there any parameter in constructor? No. So we can just say booking stream is a booking stream. And then I also need, so for booking consumer is booking consumer, that's the object. But for booking consumer, apart from booking stream, which I already created, I also need an action for logging. So for the time being, what I'll do is, for that I'll do services dot add, let's keep singleton, doesn't matter, action string, and here I'll say message yes, console dot write line message. So this will take care of passing the singleton instance of action of string. And finally what I'll have to do also is my booking consumer have to be up and running, and it has to be up and running and a separate thread, because if you remember, if you're not, I have to look into my previous video, but here I have a while loop where I'm polling constantly. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say again task dot factory dot start new, and here I'll say app dot application service dot get service by booking consumer dot listen, so that it starts listening. And that's going to be it. Now that this is done, the next thing I will have to do is I'll have to change my message relay. So let me go back to my booking message relay, change the implementation a little bit, and let's take I booking stream, and here let's do booking stream dot subscribe, and let's say hub client, and then when I get a message, I'm going to say I'm just going to copy this line over. So I'm going to say this and pass the message down, actual message to the client, and I'm going to get rid of this code, it's not required anymore. So now I'm going to run this project, starting. Okay, let's open up the 12, see what's going on. So obviously it's connected, we do not have any error anywhere. So now let me open up the Kafka producer, start that and send a message and see if we are getting here. So let me open a command prompt. So in the producer I'm just going to do .NET run to start the producer. So producer is started. Let's send a message and see. Hello from Kafka .NET Core producer. Slide. Oh, I have a breaking point. Let me just get rid of that, and yep, looks like I got the message. Let me type in another message. to Rx to SignalR. Yeah, as you can see, we started off with Kafka, then reactive extension, and then now SignalR, and this is a full circle. It's a reactive message end to end. So we send a message into Kafka that is asynchronously consumed by the Kafka consumer as a stream. That stream is pumped into reactive extension, where we filter out the stream based on message length, and then we get into SignalR to publish the message back to the client browser. In my next video, I'm probably going to work with some client-side SPA application, either Angular or React, and write a single page application and connect with SignalR from there. Thank you so much for watching this video. See you next time.